Hello, I'm Kelly Foss. Today we're going to be drawing a dog. The dog we're drawing today is cattle dog, I believe. If I'm wrong, please tell me. I like how dotty, spotty, dark, and light he is. And it helps us focus on what I want us to focus on today, which is a forced focus. Our eyes are drawn to moments of sharpness, of contrast, and to details. So when we are putting a lot of details, or we're putting all the highest contrast moments, or if we put all these sharp lines in the areas that we don't want focus, it's robbing our subject from the desired focus. Let's just jump into it. Okay, starting off with my favorite pad of paper. It's small enough to go anywhere, and it's large enough to do great drawings on. Starting off with a 4B graphite, and I'm quickly trying to do a block in, meaning I'm just using straight lines to look at the subject as a whole, break him down into simple shapes, and pretty much see how he's going to fit on my paper. So one of the most frustrating things is to do a drawing that starts growing off of your paper, or it's so dwarfed on it, it's just ridiculous. We've all been there. So I'm looking for those angles. You can squint to help you detach from seeing it as a dog, and squint just to see shapes. Also look for those continuous lines, like this angle of the ear that kind of slides right down to his smile. I'm doing the side hold, or also known as cigar hold, on my pencil, which helps me to do more wide strokes. Helps me to be sketchier and not so exacting, which is exactly what we want during the blocking in process. I'm looking at distances, almost like checking out the rungs on a ladder. Those heights, forehead to nose to mouth. My sketchy pencil strokes look quite messy and undecided, but that's actually a really good thing at this point. Our brain eventually helps us in choosing which of the wide lines is more correct. I'm trying to be really detached from the subject. Like this nose here, I'm seeing it as kind of a block with a diagonal line. A dog with so many details, it's easy to be caught up in them. Even something as cute as his teeth. Just keep squinting and looking at the big picture. As I'm feeling better about my general masses, I'm starting to subdivide even more of light versus dark. General light versus dark. I'm not getting into all this spotty dottiness of him yet. Still using that side hold on my pencil to still be sketchy. I'm trying to make that map, that blueprint, and do point-to-point comparison. Like the top of the ears here, seeing this tilt. I can compare one ear height to the other. And then I see that his back is about cutting at his ear here, so I can put that line in. I see that this arm kind of, if it was continued on his body, it would go up farther. So that's why I just raised that line. Just find all those fun angles and simplifying, because there's so many beautiful nuances of turns, and of course fur is so soft. There's not really a straight line in there, but if you squint, you can really group the body together this way. You might wonder, why do we block in? Why do we keep things so vague and just looking at masses and shapes at this point? Think of it as you are laying the foundations for a house. Our intelligent eyes are tempted to go straight to the glorious details of the fur and the sparkling eyes. But when we go to the details first, or too soon, it's kind of like putting curtains in windows when the first floor foundation isn't even set. I'm taking my clean piece of tissue here and doing what I call a fog out. I'm really just moving the graphite around, getting a tone on the paper. Now I'm taking my eraser that I have sharpened to be a wonderful eraser pen and just cleaning up the outside shapes. It's the reductive drawing now. I am essentially drawing with the eraser, pulling away and perfecting the angles. And let's just say there's no such thing as perfect in art. There's progress. Okay, I'm squinting to see these angles, kind of his panda shapes of this dark eye spots. Trying to avoid the details still. It's tempting though. I'm comparing this point down to the face, seeing where on the face does this ear kind of cut into, or does it angle. This is a fun angle right here at the side of the head. Pretty extreme. And then I can see that space between that angle and this kind of brow ridge. I can look at those shapes. And once I start feeling better about the shapes, I can start subdividing them a little bit better. Look at the height of that brow shape, how much white can wrap down. Now checking those angles, that tilt. See this eyeball, or this lash line is going to be a little lower. And I'm not drawing in the eyes yet. I'm just kind of doing little placeholder angles. Because it's really a shame to work on a detail like that and then realize there's just something off about it. So I'm just doing little dashes for good angles of what I see in the eyes. Even though we see the iris being so round, look at the lash line around the eye. It's very angular actually. Okay, and I'm seeing how much shape, space around his eye. I'm kind of carving in this face here. You see, I draw with a straight line. That's mainly because I'm in the block-in process right now. But also, it helps if you are trying to achieve realism, because from a straight line, you can better judge what are the high points and low points, and where turns or bends really start to happen. Okay, this is gonna look a little silly, but I'm looking for shapes here. So I'm massing in, or kind of glazing in that darkness. The mouth, open mouth shape looks kind of like a shield or something. So I put that shape in there, and there's kind of that empty triangle darkness of his gums right beyond its teeth. But you can see I'm not drawing his teeth, kind of drawing everything but them, and subsequently I'm drawing them. Okay, I just did a center line on him, a little bit for the sake of construction, but also because I see it on him. Okay, I'm not getting nitty-pitty about the teeth just yet. I'm not getting overly detailed. I'm just erasing some of that lightness. That top plane of the nose is pretty wide. So I'm seeing how it compares to where the eyes are set in and also the nose. Let's see the symmetry with those eyes. Whatever the center line is with a person or a pet, it is perpendicular the other line that you can see the symmetry with the features. When you keep things sketchy like this, it frees you up to be able to move the drawing, move things to make it more correct. Okay, I did a little more toning in of just taking the tissue and flattening down the values. Now I'm restating my lines, kind of refinding them and trying to better the line. When I have 10 lines that are kind of thick, I take my time now to choose which ones I like. You can see his chest goes up a little bit farther. So I'll just make that some shadow. You can see I'm slowly adding more and more context. Take your time on this. I'm going faster than I would want you to. Okay, looking at the shapes of the teeth area. Doing a little bit of erasing. And back with a clean tissue. Fogging out. And flattening the graphite. My wonderful eraser pen. Do a little cleanup of the light shapes. Again, this is kind of the reverse drawing. It's called reductive drawing, or it can also be called negative drawing. Instead of putting stuff down on the paper, we're actually lifting it up. So I'm being careful about what I lift up, because some of that fog of graphite will be useful for us. And look at, with the exacting edge of this eraser, I can do some little fur edges with the contour. Break up some of those stronger lines. Make our boy a little more furry, but not spending too much time on that. Okay, now going to a 6B. Squinting and seeing on the photograph where I can find those darkest moments on our dog. I'm just massing them in, meaning I'm not really spending a lot of time drawing individual fur. I am scribbling in the shapes of the darkness. And I'm seeing how the eye actually kind of meets up with that darkness, seeing that angle. So let's just put that roundy eye in there. The iris. You kind of have the outside shape that's more angular established. Doing an iris the same size on the other side. And now I have the pupil in one side and pupil on the other. Though the pupil is black, it's also a shiny wet ball, especially if your dog looking up. So the pupils aren't going to be black. Okay, I'm taking this 6B and shape finding with the nose even some more. Squinting to see how much of a darker value is right there. It's a little bit darker. Down the center line. Kind of analyzing where those darker fur moments are. And I'm even doing a little bit of a side pencil, a little side hold, to get a wider pencil stroke. This shadow under him is quite strong. And under here too. Make sure to sharpen your pencils, especially with a piece like this. The more dull your pencil is, the more static or dither happens. And I guarantee you it looks so much better when you draw it with a sharp pencil. The pencil point just goes right into the fibers. Though I am not drawing the individual hairs, I'm also letting my pencil work to be in the direction that I would see the fur go into. Okay, nice sharp pencil. I'm doing a little more detail rimming of that gum line. It has this rimming shoulder of darkness, but it's not as dark as the ears. I'm doing the side hold of the pencil just to scribble up that arm. That keeps it from looking too detailed because it is a wide pencil at that point. And now with the sharp pencil, I'm doing a little more rimming of this fur moment. With the tissue, I am mushing around a little bit of that graphite. This helps to flatten or take away some of the detail. Now, trying to get this ear darker, pushing the graphite, just keep building it up. Now with the sharp pencil, I am subtly pushing some values darker around the teeth and on the tongue as it goes back into the head. Notice I did not outline the teeth. If you squint value-wise, they're all just a white rim. Okay, I cleaned a little bit of the paper so it can receive this white pastel. White pastel is a little bit of a drama queen. She wants her own space on the paper, so I cleaned up the irises of the eye and some of the areas on the fur that I want to have some furry highlights. So with this sharp pastel, I am just doing scratchy fur type marks. Not all over, just selective areas. Because if we look at our dog, so much of him, even the light areas, are not white. They're kind of tan colored like the paper, but that tooth is white. Look at him just doing some scratchy fur type marks. This can be really fun, but I will say less is more. Now with the sharp 2B graphite, getting some of those nice sharp details in and darkness. So this is increasing the contrasts on his face as well as detailing. It is quite sharp, the pencil work. But this doesn't mean just to do sharp contrasts everywhere. We want to keep them select so they're powerful. So I'm improving the shape of the teeth just a little bit. This is a hard pencil, so it's not going to be too dark. But I'm just insinuating the separation of the teeth. Take your time, because teeth, especially on any sort of animal, if you go and outline them, they will look creepy. So this is an area in realism where subtlety is huge. Okay, the center part of his upper lip area is darker. Just getting a little tone in there. I'll get a little bit of that darker rim on his fur beyond his white there. He's got that nice little dark wisp right there on his chest. I am still doing the fur direction in my pencil stroke. Now with the eraser, I'm going to do some slashing, kind of like fur, as we can see how that upper little mane of fur on him overlaps a darker rim. And his little arm here, and maybe just a smidge around his chin, just like coming out over those dark rim. And now a little bit of sharpness with the white, little strokes. And I'm just gonna put a few selective ones in between the eyes here. This is really the detailing and the contrast and the sharpness all in one. Oh, let's put some fun background. Because if we squint at him, his background is pretty light. Not as light as this white, but I like to put in a background rabble, I say, where it's just a little bit of chaos, wild, scribbly background. It's your moment to freestyle, in contrast to handling the subject with a lot more care. It's a little more delicate, and then to have this vibrant background of wild dancing pencil strokes. I'm just restating a little bit of his shadow. You don't have to do this. I'm just kind of doing this as an artistic choice. I'm happy with this guy. I could, of course, work on him more, and I'm always tempted to, and sometimes I do. But for now, I think we're gonna leave this good boy.
Whew. Okay, how'd your drawing turn out? I hope good. Let me know how you did. Well, that's it for me. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time.